Winter is coming on, water temperatures are dropping into the low 50s, and guess what? The California Delta is still kicking out some pretty darn good fishing, especially if you're going out on multi-species trips. Let's take a look at some pictures, we'll get into the report. Hi everyone, thanks for joining me. This is the In Deep on the Delta Fishing Report for the week of November 21st. As I said before, winter is coming on. All you have to do is look out behind me. I'm out at Paradise Point. It's chilly this morning, probably down in the 40s. Water temperatures are dropping into the low 50s, and we're going to get some rain hopefully tomorrow, and that's going to bring in some stripers. So we're going to be talking about that, but before we do, I've got a serious note that we all need to be aware of, and for those of you especially who not only fish the Delta but fish other motherlode lakes, there's a situation coming up. And we talked about an invasive species, a new invasive species that has entered the Delta called the goldenmuscle. It's a clam, it's a species that can create a lot of problems. I don't want to go into it right now, but it is, you guys are going to hear about this goldenmuscle more and more. And I want to talk, give you some information that I got from one of the subscribers, Bobby. Last week, Bobby went to a couple of different lakes. First lake we'll talk about is Clear Lake. He went up, he had the boat inspection, they gave him his inspection sticker. He went and had a great day on Clear Lake. A couple days later, he went out to Berryessa. Here's where the problem lies. Went up to Berryessa, they talked to him at the ramp, asked him if he had been on the Delta within, I think it was the last 30 days. He said, yeah, he'd been out here because he generally is a Delta rat. They turned him away without inspection. That is something that I've heard a couple of times now, that at least at Lake Berryessa, if you have been on the Delta in the last, I've heard anywhere from 5 to 30 days, that they will turn you away because the state has deemed the Delta a toxic body of water right now. So be aware of that, and if you guys are going to another lake, make sure maybe you call the ramp or call the who's ever in charge of boating on that lake. Make sure you know exactly what their standards are for letting a boat in at the lake. I know that at the very least you're going to have what they call an official inspection. Generally that means your boat's going to have not only your boat, your trailer, your gear, your net, everything in the boat, ropes, has to be clean and dry. The bilge has to be absolutely dry, and if you drop that motor and anything comes out of the lower unit, any water comes out of that lower unit, you're going to be failed and you're going to have to go home. So just be aware of that, and I'll try to keep you posted on what's going on down the road as this thing starts to evolve. I have some important late breaking news that I need to share with you. This is very important. It has to do with the golden mussel, the invasive golden mussel that has been found on the California Delta, and it's very important, so please pay close attention. The Fairfield Sassoon Bass Reapers Lake Berryessa Open Bass Tournament that was scheduled for Saturday, November 23rd, has been canceled. I'll say that one more time. The Fairfield Sassoon Bass Reapers Lake Berryessa Bass Fishing Tournament that was scheduled for Saturday, November 23rd at Lake Berryessa has been canceled. Here's the situation. The Bureau of Reclamation, who controls Berryessa along with about 40 other reservoirs here in California, has put a 30-day no boating closure on Lake Berryessa, hopefully to help
stop the spread of this golden mussel. They're going to be getting together, I'm sure, with biologists and politicians and everyone involved and putting a plan together to see what we're going to need to do with this golden mussel. Now, if you have any questions, you can check out Brian and James over at Straight Hook Fishing. They're both members of the Fairfield Sassoon Bass Reapers Club, and they've been instrumental with everything going on here, putting on the tournament. They're going to be refunding some money if you guys have already put your money in the pot. So keep that in mind. Here's the important thing that we have to think about. As I said, the Bureau of Reclamation controls over 40 lakes here in California, including Berryessa, Shasta, and Clear Lake. Now, I've been in contact with some of the folks around Clear Lake, and they have had no closures as of yet, but as this thing rolls out, we're going to have to see, like I said, the Bureau is in control of these lakes, and these closures could roll down the line. That has not happened yet. My message to all of you folks, especially the folks that consider the San Joaquin Delta their home water, remember, as bass fishermen, and just by the nature of our sport, with tournament angling and boats moving from body of water to body of water weekly, maybe even daily, it is important for us to be stewards of our environments, not just the Delta, but Berryessa, Shasta, Clear Lake, any water we fish. We are the stewards of the environment. So let's be real cautious. If you've had your boat in the Delta, number one, before you take that boat anywhere else, at the very least, make sure it is spotless, no water in the bilge, no water in your lower unit when you drop the motor. It can't be wet. All the gear has to be dried off. The trailer has to be taken care of. And really, you're going to want to call any lake that you go to make sure that you won't be turned away at the ramp. As information comes up, I'll try to keep you guys informed. But remember, we are the stewards of the environment. Let's not try to work around. I know we all want to go up to some of the lakes this time of the year. Delta's getting tough. Let's not try to work our way around pulling our boats up into some of the lakes that we really don't want to spread this mussel. Let's give the Bureau a chance to check it out, see what they come up with, and hopefully they'll have a plan that we can all get on board with that will stop this, or at least try and control this new golden mussel. Thanks a lot. We'll get back to the report.
All right, let's get right into the report. And it's winter out here. Water temperatures, we've got reports 52, 53 degrees. If the sun comes out on any particular day, you're going to get maybe 55-degree water temps. Things are changing out here. Mornings are absolutely chilly. Make sure you bring a jacket if you're coming out. It's been overcast. We've got one day there's a nice little breeze, one day there's nothing at all. Starting Friday, we're supposed to get some rain in, and everyone that I've talked to that knows anything about the Delta, they're saying that at the very least that is going to kick some stripers into gear. They're going to be running in from the bay and flooding more and more into the system, and we've already got a lot of stripers in the system. Striper fishing the last couple of weeks, the last month has been really good. So that's kind of the story of the Delta. It's not going to be long before our water temperatures are borderlining 49, 50 degrees, and that's when the largemouth bass fishing is going to get tough. Right now, everything looks pretty darn solid, and we'll get into the largemouth in just a minute. By the way, the water clarity out here is super clear in most spots. I know some people that are heading down south are getting 3 or 4 feet of visibility, but man, the central Delta, it's been, I'm going to say 8 to 10 foot viz. It is as clear as it gets out here on the Delta, and days have been beautiful. If you can take your coat off midday and actually be pretty comfortable out here, that's going to change, but take that for what it is and just be prepared for changing weather conditions. Let's talk about stripers. I'll talk about, and stripers have been good. I don't care where you are, if you're on the Sacramento, if you're out at Liberty, you're down around Pittsburgh, you're in the central Delta, there are fish all over and fish are being caught. I tend to stay mostly with local reports. I know last week my son Nathan and his partner Fish King, they were out. They fished basically The channel between Ladd's Marina and Disappointment Slough had great fishing. I think they picked up about 10 fish. They had some fish that were in the 10, 11 pound range, so some nice fish. They caught some small fish too. The bait of choice for Nate and the Fish King was a River to Sea 200 in the light trout color. For the local guys, you don't need to go any farther than right here in the main channel around Stockton. Fish King also decided that he'd troll in. They put an Atlas rig on, that's a big A rig, and they just absolutely, within the first couple hundred yards, they picked up a few fish. They decided they'd had enough and they didn't want to mess with that Atlas rig anymore. But if you get out there and you guys are trollers, don't forget about that Atlas rig. Also, throw an A rig. You'll get plenty of stripers on that A rig. Some of them will be undersized, but you'll get a lot of action. You know, I've talked to Rob on and off. He's been touting that, everybody coming in that's fishing around Frank's track is catching fish. And all the bass anglers that I talk to that are catching the stripers, they're talking about, man, you get on a point, you get in a break somewhere where there's moving water, you're going to catch stripers. You may have to move around a little bit, but the stripers are out here. And I think with this rain coming in as of tomorrow, if we get enough, there's going to be a ton of stripers coming in from the bay because they're still doing really well in the bay. So this may be a banner year for stripers. Also with that rain, there's going to be a lot more salmon in the river. People are talking about catching salmon, fishing with jerk baits and lipless crankbaits. They're going to flood into the system. Just remember, it is illegal to target salmon, but don't act like if you get one on some type of bass bait, they're not fun to catch. You can't pull them out of the water. You can't, pull them out and take a picture. That's illegal. You don't want to do that. Make sure if you're going to get a picture of them, keep them in the water. Try to release them unharmed. Maybe a few of them will get up into the McCollum or somewhere and do some spawning. So that's the situation. Also, crappie fishing out here is, the guys that are going out crappie. I got my friend Kenny Bang, who is a bank angler, and he's been out up north fishing the area off of Sacramento, up around the Liberty area. He has been picking up not only some nice bass, but some beautiful crappie. He got his personal best. I think it was a 13-inch, pound-and-a-half crappie out of the Delta last week, and he also got a nice stringer to take home, a nice stringer of crappie to take home and fry up. So Kenny, thanks for that report. And Kenny, like I said, is a bank angler. He is consistently out catching fish. It can be done. I know Kenny does a lot of homework, but for you guys that are bank bound, there's plenty of opportunity. We're going to leave the striper report behind now. We're just going to get right into the largemouth bass. And I'll start off with a report from the ABA tournament, which was out Saturday. This was a small tournament out of Ladd's, had about 10 boats, and had some really good anglers out there. So the weights that you're going to be hearing may be skewed a little bit to guys that are really good fishermen. The average guy that's going to come out may not find these weights, but it just gives you an idea what the potential is here on the Delta here in mid-November, coming into winter. First place was Christian and Mark with 22 pounds, 2 ounces with an 8.5 kicker. They had a beautiful sack of fish. I have an interview with Christian. I'm hopefully going to have that up Wednesday, so it'll be out by the time that this report comes out. And Christian talks about exactly how he fished and how he won this tournament. So check out that video if you want to know how Christian got that 22-pound bag, Christian and Mark. Second place, Mark Gomez and Juan Acosta was 17.7. And I'll tell you what, a lot of guys may not be familiar with Mark and Juan, but I've got to give them, those two guys, their due. They've had an unbelievable year out here, a couple of local guys. Tournament anglers know these guys, they know they're good, but man, Mark, Juan, congratulations, having a great 2024. I've been out, and I don't know how many tournaments this year covering them, and I don't know that these guys have ever not been in the top 3. They've won their share of them this year, but man, Mark and Juan, hopefully we're going to get together and talk. Maybe you guys will sit down and do an interview with me sometime. Third place, Lorenzo Rossetti and his son Luca, another guy that people may have heard the name, may not know of him, but Lorenzo and Luca, congratulations on a third place with 14.6, and you guys were named the Anglers of the Year. And we'll have to get Lorenzo and Luca on, maybe do something, talk about how fathers and sons can get together and be successful at tournament angling. Luca's about 10 years old. Luca, congratulations, you got a good mentor. That was the ABA Bass Tournament this last Saturday. Are you going to go out and get a 22-pound bag? Probably not. I talked to Christian, and just a quick synopsis of what he's been doing for his guiding in the last couple weeks. And I got a picture of Christian earlier in the week. I believe he was out with Mark on a guide trip, and they just killed him. 25-pound bag, had a couple fish over 7, had just a string of very nice fish. He caught those fish by moving, not staying in one place, and throwing a chatterbait. I think they got one fish punching, but Christian's key to success has been just moving and finding those fish. When we talk in our video that we did Saturday, he talks about how he uses forward-facing sonar out here and how important it is, even here on the Delta. I know a lot of people don't use forward-facing out here, but it's getting more and more important to have that, especially if you are a tournament angler. I can tell you that I have been out 3 or 4 times, and I've been really busy. I'm not fishing full days, I'm fishing half days, and that has really taken a toll on my catch rate. The last few weeks I've been out fishing full days, but this last week I've had to fish a half a day. Sometimes it takes a couple hours to find fish, and that's what I've been finding on my half-day trips. When I'm out for a half a day, there have been days that I haven't found the largemouth bass. Am I disappointed about that? Heck yes, I am. I like catching big fish, and I haven't been finding them in this last week. You know what? Let's cut that out of the report. The last week I've been out for half-day trips, and have I found big fish every time? No. Sometimes it takes a while to find them. Am I disappointed? Absolutely not, because I know if I keep doing what I'm doing, I'm going out, I'm moving around, I'm throwing a chatterbait, I'm throwing a lipless crankbait, I'm looking in 8 to 10 feet of water, I know I'm going to catch fish. And that is, I think, the bottom line right now. You get out, you're looking for largemouth bass. Make sure you have a chatterbait on, make sure you have a lipless crankbait on. If you are a puncher, continue punching. The frogs and the topwater, few fish coming in, but it's really getting tough to get fish on topwaters. I know Nathan and I were out yesterday. He got a couple of small fish on topwaters, but I dropped the topwaters. Stick with the moving baits. As soon as that water temperature starts to get consistently in that 50, 51, 52 degree water temps, we're probably going to have to start throwing jigs, worms, and slow down. But right now, you don't have to slow down. Keep moving. Look for that moving water. When you find moving water, throw a jerkbait out there or an A-rig. You're probably not only going to catch largemouth bass, but you're going to pick up some nice stripers. I've been just using my bass gear for stripers. It's been a lot of fun here in the Central Delta because I'm catching fish that are generally under 5 or 6 pounds, and I can handle any of those fish, any of the stripers, on bass gear in open water. If you're going out, there's been a lot of bigger fish caught on the Sacramento, you probably want to gear up. You want to have striper gear out there because you're going to get a fish that may be 15, 18, 20 pounds sooner or later, and you want to be able to land that fish. Make sure if you do, take a picture of it, put it back in the river. With that, I want to thank you guys for watching. If you haven't sent in reports and you think you're going to get out there, make sure you send your reports to scooper9561032 at gmail.com. I read them all, and if you got a picture, that's even better. We'll put that up on next week's report. Thanks for watching. Get out there and enjoy this while you can. Bring a rain jacket, bring some warm weather gear, foul weather gear. It may get a little nasty out there, but the fishing is still good and you can catch some fish. So see you guys on the river. Good luck.